Hello, dear students. This is Professor John Forsyth, and today we're going to go over Python Crash Course, Chapter 11, the last chapter that's assigned for this class. And I love this topic. It's testing. I'm a big fan of writing software tests. They can be like really frustrating if you do it wrong. So it is a skill and an art. It takes time and patience to learn how to do this. As with all my videos, please pause and realize that I've done some practice before, so hopefully that'll prevent me from making as many errors, but expect to be able to make errors to learn for doing the same thing yourself. So we're going to use a library called PyTest, and we can install it, or a Python package. If we go down here, I'm using PyCharm. If I search for PyTest, I don't have it installed for this project yet, so I can install that, and we'll just install the latest version, and that should install pretty quickly. So as that's installing, let's create another file. So a pretty common convention, looks like it installed already, so we're good. So if I go into, I'm inside my exercises folder here, and I have my main file, which is what is open here. It's a pretty common convention for your test file, because test is actually Python code if you're doing it in Python. And it's common to prefix the name of your file with the same name as your file that you're testing, the code that you're testing. So I'm going to say test main and save that. We'll skip that. Okay, so my preference, some programmers like to do this otherwise. I think most programmers that enjoy testing like to write the test first. So you write the test before you write the program. It's not as important for this video, so I'm probably gonna write the program first. Okay. So, but the test basically just verifies that your program is working correctly. So our program is going to be pretty easy. I want to just keep it simple. So from pathlib import path. We're not executing path until we get down here. And I'm going to do a one-liner here. So we have our text, and we're going to read the text. Encoding is UTF-8. Okay, so now we have our text, and let's just typically you'll test like functions. So let's put all of this code inside of a function, and we'll just call it getText, and we'll say file name goes here. Okay. And then instead of this, we'll have the file name that we're reading, and we will return our text. That's all that this program does. And let's say we actually don't want to return all of the text, because even though it's just well, yeah, it's a lot more than we want. So let's just return the first 50 lines of the text. And then we will go and write our test. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we actually need to import the file that we're going to be testing, where the code lives that we're going to be testing. And we also want to import PyTest. That'll allow us to do some things. Okay, so actually, before I import PyTest, I've already installed it. So PyTest is actually a tool you can use outside of the program. It can help to import it as well. But we're gonna write a test function. So test that get text returns n characters, or n words, let's say. Okay. So you write these tests, and then you'll want to call the function, and in this case we need to pass it the text name, and then we'll go ahead and split this into words. and then we want to make some assertion. So assert that the length of words, pardon me, equals, and I'm just going to make a wild guess, I think it's 15 maybe, might be wrong. So we split on space, basically a rough estimation of words. And now our test should be complete, and we can run that test, and it'll tell us if it failed or not. So it says unbounded local error, cannot access local variable words where it is not associated with a value. Okay, so words doesn't exist here because I forgot, text is the name of my string that I got here, okay? So let's play that again. 8 does not equal 15. Okay, so it returned 8 words instead of 15. So I'm not going to go over all the principles of testing, pardon me. It's a really cool topic, but I just wanted to give you a taste of it at least, okay? So there's a lot of principles, a lot of benefits, and criticisms as well of testing, and I'd love to have open discussion about all of those things. So, but for the most part, most programmers are going to have some, at least in some manner or other, like experienced developers are going to be fans of testing and enjoy and like code that has good tests. Okay, writing tests. It's more code, so it's more code to maintain and read and make sure it doesn't have bugs, because you can have bugs in your tests too. So you definitely want to make sure that they're worth the effort, worth the cost, that they're making your programs better. So to fix this, we'll just change it to 8, and then it should pass that test, and it did. 1 test passed. So let's write another test. Let's write a couple more tests actually. These tests aren't going to be testing our code directly, because I haven't taken the time to create something a little bit more creative. But let's just test that some dictionary has a key called capital A, for example. So notice these test function names are kind of interesting. It is good to have them descriptive here, separate words with underscores, and then that allows you, if this is a really good test, to understand, okay, well, what failed? Like, what was I trying to test? It just communicates really well. And just one benefit that I'll mention that tests give you, like as you are changing your code, your tests kind of it's kind of like your North Star. It keeps your code working the way it's supposed to. Like the length of this text should always be 8, for example. Like I'm asserting that. And if that ever changes, well, because I was changing something inside this function, well, why did that change? And running my tests will kind of help me keep my code working properly, giving the answers that I expect it to return, or the values. So here we're going to, I want to introduce another tool, and this is going to require me to import PyTest here. We have been using PyTest when I hit play on this. PyCharm is pretty smart. It knows I have PyTest installed, and it used PyTest to run this single test. But now I want to use another feature of PyTest that requires me to import. And before I show you what that feature is, let me show you the alternative to using that feature. So I could create my own dictionary here. I can't use the keyword dict because that's reserved. So let's call it my dictionary. There we go. And we'll just give it a key A, and a key B. If this were really big, you could see how this would be awkward to write. And if I had another test, which I will write later, some dictionary has a key called B, but I know I'm going kind of fast, but you'll see what our final result here. So assert that A is in my dictionary. three tests. Two of them that I just wrote are going to fail. So we get an assertion error. So, and it shows some nice error message, like exactly what's going on. So if we see the A assertion error, it's saying A, we're asserting the A is in here as a key, and it's not. So we could change our data. This is kind of, for learning purposes, like this wouldn't be a literal test because I'm not actually testing anything outside of my test function. All my data is here. I'm not calling a function or anything, but I'm just trying to demonstrate another principle of how to write tests more easily. So I could change that to A, change this to B. But notice this is kind of awkward because I'm having to change my data in all these places, but it'd be nice if I just had it all in one place and I didn't have to write my dictionary twice. Okay. And this data, we would, if this was a more accurate or more realistic test, we would have called a function that we wrote in another file to get this data. So I'm just keeping that part for simplicity. But we can write something, we can write another function that we usually call a fixture, and that will allow us to get some data into our functions in one place. So we only have to write it once, so we get dictionary data. So let's return a dictionary that has the two keys we want to test. So 1 and 2, or A and B keys specifically. Now we can replace what we put below my dictionary here with its dictionary data. And we'll put it right there. So copy that line, put it right here. So now if we run that test, and hopefully it put those keys correctly. Right, so 33 up to the edge shows the progress. So 33% of our tests passed, 66%. So they all passed, 3 tests passed. Right. Okay, so there's one other thing we can do that can make this a little bit slightly more convenient. And that's where this import pytest comes into play. So there is this cool tool. It's called a decorator. It's like you're decorating your function. You put it right above the function. So I'm going to declare that with the decorator that this is a get. This function is a fixture. Okay. And what that's going to allow me to do is use. I'm going to slightly change this name here. Hopefully you'll see why. I'm going to call it dictionary data. And what that allows me to do is use that name, dictionary data, as an argument to these tests. So magically, pytest is allowing me to do that. So I can delete this line, and now I could actually just call this. I need to rename this. There's my dictionary data right there. Delete this line also. Do the same thing over here. Dictionary data. Okay. So now, just cleans up my test. All my data is still in one function, but now I don't have to call that function. Pytest is giving me